thank you for coming to Regent University's very first business conference. To welcome you to this amazing event, I'd like to introduce you to the European Business School's very own president, Miss Sophie Christiansen.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to this event. It is Regent's first ever business conference hosted by Student Union, and we are so excited to have you all here today. First of all, I'd like to start off with a quote by Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa once said that without deviation from the norm, there is no difference or you won't stand out. Now, isn't that why we're all here today? To figure out how to deviate from the norm, how to make yourself different in a crowd of thousands like this. Well, we've got 7 excellent speakers for you today, from industries, from headhunters to consultancy. We even have fashion retail and investment bankers. So, without further ado, I'll welcome back Sophie, and she'll tell you a bit about the lineup today. Thank you.
Thank you. So how today is going to work is we're going to have 4 keynote speakers for you, followed by a panel discussion. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any time to have Q&As in between the speeches, but we'll have Q&As right at the end of the panel, so keep your burning questions for them. I have to remind you, if you guys have to leave in the middle of a speech, we won't be able to let you back in until the very end, so try to hold off for the interval. Also, last thing, please put your phones onto silent. Our first speaker for tonight is Mr. Michael Casey, the Managing Director of Goldman Sachs Investment Banking Division, with 12 years of experience in the company. Today, Mr. Casey will be talking to you about how you can develop your unique selling point to become an ideal candidate for an internship or graduate job with Goldman Sachs. Please put your hands together for Mr. Michael Casey.
My gosh, quite a big audience. Thank you everybody for being here. It's a great privilege of mine to be here today. There is a specific question that I was set, which I will talk to, which is how I would suggest that candidates think about their unique selling points when applying for a role at my firm, but I'd like to make it a broader discussion for the purposes of the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. By way of background, my name is Michael Casey. I'm a managing director for Goldman Sachs. I'm responsible for our retail coverage across the EMEA region. I have been with Goldman Sachs for 12 years. Prior to that, I worked in consulting for Anderson Consulting for a number of years. And before that, I actually studied history at Trinity College in Dublin. Why is that relevant? Well, I think I work within a team of people in Europe that accounts for over 100 different nationalities and across 150 different disciplines in terms of undergraduate or postgraduate education. Diversity is really important to us as a firm, and I think it's becoming increasingly important for all of my clients as well. Diversity is important because I think it enables us to make decisions better, taking into account different perspectives. It also is great for idea generation. Having different people come up with different perspectives on solving a problem is always going to lead to a better outcome. And that's why, as a firm, that we are very focused on ensuring that we create diversity, both in terms of the people that we have join us, but also in terms of the experience that we give them. You may have seen that very recently, in the last 10 days or so, there were some new developments made to our junior banker careers. Importantly, what we have now done as a firm is we have tried to make our firm a more interesting and dynamic first place for people to get their early stage in their career. We have now made it a requirement for people to go on what we call mobility. What that means is that after 2 years, an analyst has to go and change their job. Sounds a bit frightening to some people. For other people, it's the best thing in the world. What that means is that you may get sent from London to Hong Kong or to New York or to San Francisco. It may be that you start off working in mergers and acquisitions and move into debt or equity financing. But what's important is that people are given the opportunity and now the requirement to go and do something different for a year. And then it's up to each person after that year to determine where they want to take their career forward. And the reason for instituting this is, as an organization, we recognize that the world is dynamic and changing, and that in order to recruit the best and the brightest, and the people who are likely to stay with us the longest, we need to give them that best experience. Another thing that we've introduced is the potential for our junior bankers to work with non-profit organizations as a proper project. So this isn't something that is done in their spare time, but actually they can allocate their working time towards. And as a program, we will be rolling that out in the next 12 months. And what that means is a proportion of the junior bankers' time will be spent working with different charitable organizations, trying to help them by providing expertise in terms of financial expertise. It may be strategic guidance, or indeed it may just be grunt work and helping them get their messages across to a broader fundraising group. And I think that's, again, another exciting evolution. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of background about what is happening within my firm at present, and again, recognizing that this world is dynamic and changing and that we need to be responsive to that. When I was asked the question, what are the unique selling points that people should highlight in the context of an application for a role at Goldman, I really thought that there were three key points that we look for, and that I in particular look for when I meet candidates. And as you probably are aware, we run quite a rigorous process where we effectively try to do most of our recruitment through our summer programs. So we have a summer analyst program, which is for penultimate year undergraduate students. And then we also have a postgraduate program, what we call our summer associate program, for those that have perhaps taken an MBA course, as I did myself. Within those summer programs, we see them as a 10-week interview process for both of us. For the candidate, so that they can see whether this is a place that they would like to spend a number of years working, and for us to spend more time with somebody to see if they really do fit in. It also accounts for the vast majority of our full-time recruiting. So the first thing to leave with you is, for us, just in terms of the scale of our organization, it is really important that you pursue a career with us through these summer programs. That is where the vast majority of our recruitment takes place. But as I said, there were three particular criteria that came to mind when thinking about candidates. The first is teamwork, the second is leadership, and the third is drive. So if I touch on teamwork, we work across 6 to 8 and sometimes even 10 different situations at any one point in time. So I'll work with 6 or 8 clients on different problems at different stages of evolution. And I'll work with separate teams on each of those. And so it's really important that we as a team are able to work together. It's also a very intense environment. We work long hours. We can work under significant time pressures. And so when I meet people, I like to look them in the eye and try and make the determination, is this somebody that I could see myself having a business conversation with at 11 o'clock on a Thursday night when I'd much prefer to be somewhere else? Because is this somebody that I'm going to get on with? And it's important that people demonstrate that they are both flexible and dynamic in working in team environments. So the first USP that I would say is important to draw out in your application process is to really focus on your experience in teamwork, and importantly, how you operate within a team. Are you somebody who likes to take the lead? Are you somebody who likes to follow? How do you operate within that team dynamic? What is most important for us as a firm are people who will work together. We're not looking for superstars. We're not looking for people who are who will do everything on their own. We're looking for people to work together. And it goes back to my point around diversity and getting the best answers for our clients. The second USP, I would say, is leadership. We're looking for people who contribute. We're not looking for employees. We're looking for people to be part of a team and have their own viewpoints and take leadership in situations. We're looking for people to take responsibility for the work that they do to ensure it's at the highest quality, but also take responsibility for coming up with new ideas and new initiatives. And leadership is really, really important. And again, as you think about how you demonstrate that, people will, in the past, have impressed me where they have been able to talk about extracurricular activities that they have shown, where they have sort of taken the lead on a topic. It doesn't need to be that you have changed the world, but it does need to you do need to demonstrate that you have the capability to take something on and be a leader within your peer set. It's also important, I think, that you demonstrate that you take a wider view of the world as well. Increasingly for us, people who demonstrate that they take leadership in their communities is also a very important criteria as we think about who are the people that we would like to run our business in the future. The third USP that I draw upon is drive. And drive is quite difficult to get across in either an application or an interview process, but it's really important. It's the difference between somebody who will sit there waiting for an order and somebody who will take it upon themselves to take a problem to the next stage, that will use their own initiative, that wants to succeed, wants to achieve, that will seek out opportunities where perhaps they're not visible to all of us. It is important, it is critical for a successful banker to show that drive, but also do it in a way that isn't going to undermine a team and that demonstrates leadership. So again, we're not looking for superstars. We're not looking for people who can do things on their own. We're looking for people who will drive within a team environment and drive to the best outcome. Because at the end of the day, as I said earlier, we work in a very intense environment, and we work across multiple teams at any one point in time. And therefore, having that drive and initiative is very important so that everybody moves forward. It's also a very flat hierarchical structure. Everybody's viewpoints have equal weight. And again, if somebody has drive, there is the potential to accelerate within one's career in a short space of time. So that really covers off what I wanted to get across with you today. I've kept my speech quite short, but I'm happy to take questions or to speak to you offline. What I would say is, as I mentioned earlier, we have a very set and rigorous process. It isn't ideal in all scenarios, but it is the way that large organizations work. But if you have any further questions about Goldman Sachs or a career with Goldman Sachs, I would be delighted to take them offline and direct you to the right people within my firm and to share any insights and experience that I have. Thank you.